A zaraz trochę historii.
Hello, comrades.
Hi, Jesse.
Hello there. I feel like it should be Boris and Natasha
Anytime. Oh, I love that.
instead of
Hello,
Jesse and
Boris.
Ale. Yes. Hi, everyone. This is Comrades, your Southgate Media podcast about the Americans. I am Jesse Jackson, and joining me is my Springsteen wife and my good friend from the North and my companion in all things the Americans, Allie.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I am good. I am excited. We have a great episode to talk about.
I know. I
Um,
know.
and, we're picking up after this cliffhanger when, Martha screams in the
I'll
neighborhood.
scream and then
Oh,
everyone will know you're KGB.
yes. Um,
Oh,
so I have to ask you,
ask.
did you think she would be dead by the end of this episode?
I still go with no.
Okay.
No, as I've been saying all along. No, no, no. I mean, I've had little feelings here and there, but no, I don't see it. I don't see it at not this episode.
And
Uh,
I love the fact that they keep throwing it in Philip's face. She's seen your face. Yes, I know. She's
yes,
seen my face. Let's move on.
right.
Um, so we
Well,
are, in case you haven't figured
she's
out.
also seen Gabriel's face now, apparently.
Yes,
So I mean, that doesn't
right.
matter.
I guess not.
I mean, has anybody thought to
Hmm.
brought that up?
Hmm.
She has seen Gabriel in all his glory.
Yes. We are talking the seventh episode of this fourth season called Travel Agents.
Yes, directed by the amazing Dan Atlas.
No,
For those,
very nice.
are you familiar with who? Atlas is his actual name.
Okay, no,
He's been
share.
around forever. Oh, I love him. When I saw that he was directing this, I was just like, wow. He was a regular. I think he did like say 80% of Lost. Big time. He did Alias. He did The Sopranos. He did a lot of HBO 10 years ago, like Entourage and Deadwood and 6 Feet Under. I know. I'm like a big, big, big um fan of his. Big. So when I saw that, I was like, ah, I love this guy. And you could see, his side of it in this. He did an amazing job.
Yeah,
Amazing job directing it.
and it really is, I made the joke last time, what do we do about a problem like Martha?
Yeah.
But, this one truly is almost everything around Martha has left. We
That's
don't know
everything.
what she's going to do, and how are we going to handle this?
We'll break it down. Let's break it down.
Okay,
When you talk about it touches every aspect of the story. So I'm going to say one of my favorite things I love to say
okay.
over at the Resident Torah, because
Yes.
I love, even Olga and Tatiana and Arkady are working on, getting this person out. That the directorate S, needs us to get the person out. You know, Gad, and Beeman, and all of them over at the FBI are all about Martha. And we'll go into the scene at her apartment in a minute on how carefully they went through everything, including women's products, which was and ice cubes. We talk about how back in, just with obviously Elizabeth and Philip, but with every single aspect of the show, for one episode was completely tied to one person. Everybody, everybody, and even Beeman, who was kind of asked to contact Ole over at the Residentura. It almost wasn't even that far. But Martha, what do you think, Jesse? You think she's disturbed? You think she's hopefully willing? Like I actually asked Allison Wright this question, today on Twitter. I said, Allison, you know, what is Martha? Why? What is she scared? Is she hopeful? Is she just really believing that her and Clark can run off somewhere? What is Martha thinking? Calling her parents. You hear her. You know what I mean? Doing all,
Sure.
when she looks at that bridge. I mean, I know I'm babbling, but I
No, no, no.
mean,
I
there's
think
just
it's
so
good.
much.
So let's take a few things at a time. So, and in no particular order, I love the scene where she called her parents, and um, one of the saddest statements I've ever heard is a good friend of mine named Rick, who unfortunately has now passed himself.
Oh,
But I was at his mother's funeral, and Rick very had lost his brother was murdered when he was like in college age. Rick's sister died of cancer fairly young, and so Rick had this sense of life is short. But when his mom died, I was sitting there in the funeral home with him, and he said, "All I want is my mom to hug me and to tell me everything's going to be
yeah,
okay, and I
yeah,
know that will never happen again."
yeah. I know.
And so I thought of that with Martha. She just wants to call mom and dad and have them tell her it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
And it's not.
No, it's not okay.
Yeah,
Especially when she was making this heartbreaking phone call to her parents.
yeah,
The FBI was tapping her line.
yes.
Was able to find her over at Woodley Park.
And I
Where
thought it was amazing and so well done when, um,
Elizabeth met up with her.
yes, but also when Stan points out
The
they
bridge.
don't have her, right? The phone. And I did think the scene of her on the bridge
Absolutely.
was very heartbreaking.
Well, I thought you were going to go. I had a moment of, besides heartbreaking in itself, but I had a moment that led up to that I kept thinking, and I have to pause. When I watch, I have to get to. I pause as I was messaging you, during the show. I have to pause that I'm having, an anxiety or I'm having this because I have to think for a minute. Because that's how I watch it. I'm a methodical watcher. I just can't sit back with the popcorn and just watch. I have to like, oh my god, what just happened? And it hit me like the bridge, the volume, the gun in her bag, like all of these things, lately with Martha. And when she stood on that bridge, like you said, no, I did not believe she was jumping. I did not believe I don't believe the Joes of this, are going to do that to Martha. You know what I mean? She's not jumping off a bridge. That's why I think when you asked me, do you think Martha was going to die? And I'm like, no, more from a production standpoint and from a whatever. I don't think Moth is being whatever killed off, but
So,
the
Allie, you did not suspect
her jumping.
that she was going to commit suicide whatsoever.
No, I did, but I didn't think it would happen. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
did. Everything came. Yes, Jess. Everything at that point came to me like if almost like if it would flooded if I was sadly that person. Like all this stuff. Yes, it was like, oh, would it just be this easy? Would it just? I said goodbye to my parents. You know what I mean? Could
Yes.
it just be this easy?
But, um,
But this isn't easy. This is the Americans, people.
right. And, one of the reasons I think that, quote unquote, Clark, got her involved is not only her personality, but as he talked about, she's stronger than what a lot of people think. And it I just thought that was very interesting that she is stronger and she has this iron core. Um, and when when Elizabeth finds her and tries to talk to her, and this whole "are you sleeping with him?" and this, it's so a weird situation of Martha, still thinks of him as her husband and
Yes.
loves him, and
Yes.
it's in this strange world, and we will get to this in a little bit, but when she's just afraid and she doesn't want to go back, and I thought Elizabeth did the right thing. I was worried Elizabeth was going to kill her actually, because Elizabeth will come out and kill someone. Um,
If she needs to. It's been
yes, she
shown.
was. Yes, it is.
It's been proven.
But instead, no, just punching her out, kind of making her lose her breath, getting her back so she'd be safe.
Yes. Only to bring her home, well, home to the safe house, and then take up with Philip. Would you go with her? I think that's what the line was.
Yeah,
Would you go with her? I'd understand.
and
And like the look on Philip's face,
hmm
and she
and
meant it.
she
Elizabeth
did
didn't know.
right.
She
She
doesn't know how to
is,
feel.
um, and I love the fact we talked about this before. Um, this is a arranged marriage. This is an assignment, and they have fell in love, and there is so much baggage and so much their jobs actually require them to interact with other people, and it's just so interesting. um yeah, you know um and it's heartbreaking, but I'm happy that Philip tells Martha the truth.
Yeah.
I won't be going.
And Elizabeth told him not to, if you remember.
Right, yeah, you've got to give her that hope.
Right.
You've got to give her that hope to let her hang on that.
Mm-hmm. Is that
Um,
a woman talking or a spy talking?
that's a spy, I think, right?
It's also a woman.
Yeah, sharing
It's a
that.
woman.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me.
yeah,
Like we know what we need to hear, and here she
right.
is saying she needs to hear this from you.
So it's um, he's he's telling her you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be treated like a hero.
Like a hero.
You'll be taken care of. And she says, I'll be alone again, just like I was before
For a
you.
meal, right. She's Martha's a complicated woman. She's not, like you started to say before, she's not the dowdy, wallflower little secretary that when Clark first came to her, she, or who Clark, or anyone thought she was, and Clark has, as we discussed last week, we now understand it's been 3 years, with them. We didn't really understand the time lapse prior to last week. And then certain things came up. So, that's a long time, 2, 3 nights a week with this client, and he's grown to know her in a way that no one else ever has. And she's not this little wallflower. She's a very complex woman.
Yeah, I want to get back to when they're destroying Martha's apartment.
Oh, can we please? Can we just add a little fun to this right now? Can we
Yes,
go over that a minute?
absolutely.
Oh
Please.
my God. Okay, I'm gonna just continue to say women's products for all people out there. But if you saw the episode, you know what I'm talking about. When you talk about when people say you're gonna go over things with a fine tooth comb, Jesse,
Yeah,
a fine tooth
a
comb.
fine tooth comb. And, Agent John Boy, Agent Cad, is just knows he is screwed.
Screwed. Oh, I've been meaning to ask you this ever since when Stan first went into her apartment that night.
Yeah.
Where's the wedding ring? I'm telling
Ooh.
you. I'm telling you, Jess. Because it wasn't in the top drawer that first night when Stan went in there searching. They didn't find it. The only reason they knew she was married to, as Agent Gad said, not only is my secretary not who my secretary is, but she's married to a KGB officer, was from a marriage certificate. I'm telling you, there's something about that wedding ring. It reminds me, this wedding ring haunts me back to the movie with Julia Roberts and I forget the name, Sleeping with the Enemy. And she pretends to die and she goes to flush her wedding ring down the toilet. And that sets him off looking for her because it didn't flush. Do you know about that movie?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Something with this wedding ring. I'm telling you. I'm predicting it. Something with this wedding ring. It's coming back somewhere. It was too much. If they made it a point for 2.5 seasons for Martha to come home, put her wedding band on. You know what I mean? Remember at the
Yes.
end to go. So, and for it to not be a part of anything or evidence or anything, she's not wearing it. We notice.
Right.
I'm just saying,
No. Okay.
silly things to keep a lookout for.
All right. We're gonna put a lantern on it,
A
and
lantern,
we're gonna keep that in mind. Yeah, I like
light
that.
bulb. Keep it in mind.
Yes.
So they really didn't find anything much at her apartment. I mean, let's be real. Or at Clark's, they feel they found a fingerprint here or there. Um, that's it. I mean, they really didn't find much. They wanted to find, but they didn't.
They wanted to find something.
But they didn't.
No, they didn't.
The marriage license, marriage certificate.
Right. I love the Stan talking to Gad. They seduced and married my secretary.
Exactly.
I'm in charge of FBI counterintelligence,
Intelligence
and my secretary
is
married a
married a
KGB
KGB officer.
officer.
It's the best. It's the best writing.
And
And the way he performed, the way he just says it, like so matter of factly, perfectly spot on. John Boy.
and it's so you want to go. None of this was your fault. I mean, you can think it isn't like he was not being diligent. Not that he wasn't, was incompetent. It's just that's how good
They
they
are.
are. Yes. Um, Kind of going back to I Elizabeth and Philip's discussion when he went down to get her ice, right? And to get Martha ice for the big old bruise that she gave her.
The
And
discussion by the stairs.
yes, and she just says, and you talked about this a little bit, but I think it's worth talking again. If the kids were gone, because she knows that Philip is a good father, and but if you had the opportunity, would you want to go? And he looks shocked. I thought,
Like completely. Like, what are you
yes,
saying to me?
yeah,
Like, are you crazy? This is my family.
no,
You're
I
my
love
wife.
you, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I think Elizabeth needed to hear that,
She
but
did.
there is so um I
Well,
don't
that
know.
was the same time. That was right
Yeah,
after that conversation when she said to him, "You need to tell her this."
yes. And he didn't. He was so honest with her, and even Elizabeth points him to say, you need to stay there with her,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just sitting there going, Martha's here, and Philip's there as Clark, but what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
I just this was a wonderful episode, and
It was.
everything around
And
Martha.
Allison Wright and was I mean, you can't. She's not that she hasn't been a star, but the last few weeks in this episode, I mean, she needs an Emmy nomination. I mean, the performance that this woman has been giving has been tremendous, beyond. She's amazing. The
And
depth, the depth
oh,
of everything.
absolutely. And when she doesn't speak Russian,
No,
she will have no one. You know, the man that she adored, she's found out will
you
not
left
even
me
go
with a
visit.
stranger.
Right. And you just go, good heavens, what are they going to do? And what are they going to do? I mean, you figure Martha's going to be miserable.
I think I'm looking through some of my notes I made on the show while I was watching it. When I take my little pauses, and when Martha calls the number, the operator, when Philip is trying to digest some borscht at the moment. And that whole little thing, when you hear the dialogue, even with her, I was rushed over here, for something, the new operator, and all this stuff. But when Martha calls in and he's, we need to talk, and you left me alone, how can you do it? And when she said, and I wrote this down, when she said, you want to talk? You want to talk? You'll just tell me some version of the truth that's
Texas
not very
Oncology
true.
had all the latest.
I wrote this line down. I just looked at it. And, she's finally admitting it to herself. And that's where it's all, And when she asks what's his name, his real name, what were you born with? It's crazy. And I think we almost are done with this episode
Absolutely.
because
We
I'm
need to go,
dying.
we need to go. Yes. For those of you who don't know, we're catching up. So we are pretending we haven't seen the next episode, but we
And
have.
it's very hard.
It is very hard.
And if you've seen them both, you'll understand why.
Absolutely. Allie, what would you give this one?
I give it 9.25 passports.
Ah. I am going to give it 9 bowls of soup.
Soup.
Borscht, it's better.
Borscht.
Yes. And Allie, if someone wants to reach you, how? And you have all the information for the show context, don't you?
I do. So if you want to reach me personally, the best way is on Twitter. It's A Forever New York Girl. That's A for EVANYGIRL. If you want to reach us out on Twitter for the show's new Twitter account, it's at Comrades SMG. And Jesse, to reach you,
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW.
not to be confused with the other Jesse
That's
Jackson.
right.
Sorry, I always feel like saying that.
Yes, and if you want to hear Allie and I talk about our other passion, the New Jersey poet, Allie has been kind enough to join me on Set Listing Bruce many times, and
It's a pleasure.
we will do that again. Don't we have a new Gmail address as well?
We do. It is comradessmg@gmail.com.
Great, and we would love some comments.
We will have a new website coming up as well, too.
Oh, very cool. Nice.
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
Working hard here, comrade. You know how we get things done in the USSR.
Yes, there
boom,
is.
Boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
Off with your head.
So for now, we're going to call it a night, and we will see you on the podcast feed shortly to talk about some kind of magic trick, right?
Oh, the magic. Apparently, it's the magic of David Copperfield.
Absolutely.
Big time star in the 80s.
Absolutely. All right. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.
I said, and Allie and I talked about rewatching The Americans, but I'm going to talk to her about I just don't know if I'm up for it. And Linda said the sweetest thing ever. Well, I've never seen The Americans, so if you want to do a rewatch, I'll start with you and we can watch it together.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, because Charlie's never watched it. We might be able to have a bring your spouse to podcasting.
Yeah, that'd be nice.